You're watching ABC7 News at 5:30.
Welcome back. A blustery day here on the Suncoast with some high surf at area beaches, all from Alberto. Let's get more on the storm and our weather this afternoon with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan. Bob?
Yeah, the strongest winds all weekend long and today are happening right now. In fact, we had a tropical storm force wind gust at the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport just about an hour ago, right around, again, 4 o'clock or so. We had a wind up to 43 miles an hour. And again, that's just above tropical storm force strength. What's happening is we're getting these feeder bands coming in. You can see that quite clearly on the radar picture. This was at 2:30 this morning. And again, we're going to see this kind of go through time. And these showers and storms continue to stay mainly offshore, but there hasn't been a lot of activity onshore as of yet. But that is expected to change as we move through time. Again, the showers and storms that we will see will bring some locally heavy rainfall at times, but it looks like that'll be happening again later on tonight and throughout the day tomorrow, periodically as more moisture comes in from the south. Well, much more on this and the rest of the week's weather coming up in a few minutes. Scott?
All right, Bob, thank you. Hurricane season officially begins Friday, and after Alberto over the weekend, residents on Lido Key are already worried about the lack of sand on that beach. Take a look. This is what some residents experience each time the winds pick up or a storm passes through the area. People who live at First Lido condominium say waves usually crash over the walls of the condo. All this video was taken yesterday. Even though it did not impact us severely on the Suncoast, some residents say they can only imagine what will happen during hurricane season.
Well, this isn't even our worst storm, and this is what we're having, and we're in the middle of litigation about getting the pass dredged and getting a new beach, and Siesta Key's opposing it, and this is what we're living with.
It's really frustrating. This happens frequently, and we're just at the beginning of the hurricane season, so and this isn't even a particularly bad storm, so this is routine for us almost, and it'll be this way through the hurricane season. It's very scary.
Residents aren't only concerned for their own safety, but wildlife as well. With so little sand on the beach, the eggs laid there by sea turtles are often washed away. People across the country observed this Memorial Day by paying their respects to service members who died fighting for our country. For some, the connection is much more personal when that lost service member is family. ABC7's Dwayne Lindo joins us live at Sarasota National Cemetery after finding out what this day meant to those who visited there. Dwayne?
Well, Scott, there's been a steady stream of visitors at the cemetery for the entire day. It was an opportunity for many to pay tribute to those who served and for those who lost their lives in service to our country. For years, Sarasota resident Amy Freyer has been visiting Sarasota's National Cemetery. And as it grows, she's starting to see more headstones of people who were friends.
We just visited a gentleman that I knew. He's over here, and it seems like every time I come, I see a new name that I recognize.
But while casually walking among rows of gravestones, she pauses right here to honor and pay her respects to her dad, who served in World War II.
His service last year, I learned much more about it because the VA did some research of his papers, so told me a lot about what he did. And
he was mostly in combat.
He never talked about that kind of stuff.
But Freyer says the stories her dad told were lighthearted, making this day much more than a holiday, but a day of reminiscing and remembrance.
He just talked about the crazy stuff, made it sound like it was, fun. The kids would, Papa, tell us about this, tell us about that, and he would just make, he didn't make a big deal about it for himself.
The wounds are still fresh for Victoria Baldwin, who lost her brother earlier this year. And on this day, she says there is no other place that she would prefer to be than this burial site honoring his memory.
My father served, my grandfather, I have another brother that is deceased, and he served also. And my living brother that's with me here has served.
And as flags are placed on more than 15,000 buried here at the cemetery, visitors here vow never to forget.
What they did is not in vain, and it gives us freedom.
Well, I'm very proud of him, and I'm proud that he was my dad. And I miss him, but I love that he's here.
Now, both women encouraged everyone to visit Sarasota National Cemetery at least once in their lifetime, even if you don't have a loved one or friend buried at the site. Reporting live at Sarasota National Cemetery, Dwayne Lindo, your Suncoast News.
Dwayne, thank you so much. A dozen World War II veterans taking part in a Memorial Day wreath-laying ceremony earlier today in Washington. The ceremony held at the World War II Memorial there. A tribute to the more than 400,000 Americans who lost their lives in that war. The wreaths were laid at the Freedom Wall, which has 4,000 gold stars, each representing 100 Americans who died. World War II Memorial was dedicated in 2004. It also honors the 16 million men and women who served in the U.S. Armed Forces during World War II. Former President George H.W. Bush is back in the hospital. He was taken to a Maine facility after experiencing low blood pressure and fatigue. He's expected to stay there for a few days for observation. Last month, the former president was hospitalized for an infection the day after a funeral was held for his wife, Barbara Bush. The former president, now 93 years old. Now to the on-again, off-again summit with North Korea. The White House moving forward again with its plans to hold a historic summit with North Korea in little more than 2 weeks. Overnight, sending 2 U.S. delegations to Asia to pave the way for a sit-down with the North Korean leader, Kim Jong-un. One group crossing the border into North Korea to try to salvage the meeting. A second U.S. delegation is in Singapore handling logistics. President Trump remains confident they will meet next month.
We're looking at June 12th in Singapore. That hasn't changed. Decided to terminate the planned summit in
Just last week, he called off the summit as both sides were threatening the nuclear showdown. North Korea last week claiming to blow up a nuclear test facility as a good show of faith. Many, though, are skeptical that North Korea will denuclearize, but President Trump is still hopeful, tweeting, quote, "I truly believe North Korea has brilliant potential and will be a great economic and financial nation one day. Kim Jong-un agrees with me on this. It will happen." Well, the baby boomer generation has long been the largest part of our country's adult population, but research suggests that millennials are just a year away from surpassing that group. ABC7's Adam Cellini is here to explain why that matters for the future of American politics. Adam?
Scott, good evening. The Pew Research Center dove into the generation gap between the baby boomers and their soon-to-be successors. Watching millennials, which Pew defines as ages 20 to 35 right now, participate in politics can be fascinating. Like young people before them, they have a tendency to lean towards the Democratic Party. But when it comes to specific political issues, discrimination, immigration, taxation, those trends disappear. So what's keeping this generation engaged with politics, and does it matter that they're not going to the polls as much as other voters?
Young voters typically are very interested in the system, but there's a series of barriers they have to overcome in order to participate.
I would say there's an interesting change. Students today, just like everybody else, are very skeptical about established political institutions.
Tonight on ABC7 at 7, find out what's motivating young adults active in our local political scene and what they're telling their friends who may feel detached from that political process. Scott?
All right, Adam, we'll see you tonight. Thank you. The 7th annual Myakka River Blues Fest happening today at Snookhaven in Venice. The event draws big crowds to hear nationally known and local blues bands. The theme of the event, to honor those who served in the military. But part of the proceeds go to help the nearby Loveland Center, which helps those with developmental disabilities in our community.
Haven is a classic environment for music festivals, so we like to embrace that. We try to take Memorial Day, do a little celebration with that. We do have some of the money benefiting Loveland today, which is another great thing. Plus the Suncoast Blues Society is out here.
The event is going on until 6:45 this evening, again at Snookhaven in South Venice. The Anna Maria Island Turtle Watch reminding beachgoers to keep an eye out for turtles' nests near the shore. Walkers went out to survey the beaches this morning to see how the storm affected nest counts. So far this year, they've already counted about 38 nests on Anna Maria. They say if you find any eggs that are floating in the water, carry them to shore, dig a hole in the closest dune area, and then rebury them. Coming up, how chewing gum while exercising could help you burn more calories. And the story of a former Navy SEAL who made the ultimate sacrifice. Your story right ahead.
From the moment she walked in the door, we stopped having to go to the pharmacy. Certain prescriptions, my health plan or the pharmacy wasn't even able to get here. And hospice provided them, and all we had to do was call up, and the next thing they know, there was another, a delivery.
You want a Maserati, but you need an SUV. Why not have both? Levante, the Maserati of SUVs.
Experience it at Sunset Maserati Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Since 2004, Embracing Our Differences has used the power of art and education to promote diversity. One way it accomplishes this is through its annual outdoor exhibition of 45 billboard-sized works of art, each accompanied by an inspirational quote. Join us in creating a community that is inclusive for all, where differences are embraced and individuality is celebrated. We invite you to celebrate the voices and visions of diversity and inclusion at this year's exhibit at Sarasota's Island Park.
My credit score was not that great.
I didn't understand what went into my credit score. It was overwhelming.
Do you want to attain better credit health but don't know where to start? Credit Sesame can help by providing you a free credit score.
I love the app. It's so easy to use. It's like having your own financial coach. Credit Sesame broke my credit score down into things that I understood, and it made me think, I can do this.
And the awesome thing about Credit Sesame, it's free.
It's 100% free.
You don't need to go it alone. Get started today at creditsesame.com.
Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP is the largest locally owned CPAP supply company in the area. Is it time to replace your old equipment? The staff at Sarasota Oxygen and CPAP can show you the most up-to-date CPAP equipment and supplies to meet your sleep apnea needs, including portable travel devices and the SoClean automatic CPAP sanitizer. We serve all of Southwest Florida, giving the highest quality of care with the finest CPAP equipment. Please visit our website, sarasotacpap.com.
The ABC7 First Alert weather app just got even better. It's easy to use once you download it. First, tell the app to follow you, so you get alerts pinpointed to exactly where you are. Then customize your settings with all the places you go, from the beach to grandmother's house. Get accurate alerts for everyone you care about. You can even pick which weather alerts and categories you want and what they sound like. More ways to customize and more ways to keep your family safe. Download the ABC7 First Alert weather app today.
Obesity remains on the rise as more and more doctors are encouraging people to eat healthy and exercise. But what if chewing gum actually helps you burn some calories? Here's ABC's Stephanie Ramos with the results of a surprising new study.
Physical exercise gets your heart rate up. You sweat and burn calories as your body uses more energy. But what could burn a little more? Chewing gum. Oh yeah, I'm serious. Researchers studied 46 men and women in Japan who were 21 to 69 years old. They each had a BMI between 22 and 30. Researchers documented they were all somewhat overweight and all were gum chewers, so they tested two groups. One group walked 15 minutes while chewing a couple of pieces of gum, and the other drank the same ingredients mixed in water while walking 15 minutes, just in case there was something in the gum ingredients that would affect the results. Their heart and walking speed were measured to calculate the amount of energy expended. Men over the age of 40 had the best response to this combo, burning about 2 additional calories for every minute they walked. Women, oddly, did not have a significant response. This was a small study, so don't go buying boxes of gum just yet, but the walk certainly won't hurt you. With this Medical Minute, I'm Stephanie Ramos.
Now your ABC7 with Chief Meteorologist Bob Harrigan.
Tower cam showing quite a bit of cloudiness around, and that's a direct result of what's left of Alberto. Alberto making landfall earlier this afternoon right there in Laguna Beach with winds of 45 miles an hour sustained and a couple of feeder bands just off the coast of the Sun Coast, and they'll have an influence on our weather. It's already brought tropical storm force winds into the Sarasota-Bradenton Airport just a couple of hours ago, and we had 43-mile-an-hour wind gusts there. This has been the strongest wind so far with the entire event, and it looks like we could see windier conditions if these lines move in. Now, notice the general trend is to follow this low-pressure area. As it moves north, these are going to try to move more northward, but there's a little bit of a slip to the east, too, at this time. So I suspect this may clip Anna Maria Island and possibly into Manatee County. If it does, you're going to notice it too. Some pretty heavy rainfall expected with this. Rainfall rates are excessive, and a few showers are already starting to pop up on another feeder band trying to develop in our interior counties at this point. And this is very close right there to Anna Maria Island. This is going to hit Pinellas County. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Sometimes there's little spin-ups with these as well. There are special marine warnings off the coastal waters now throughout our area from Sarasota northward through the Tampa Bay region. Well, the wider picture showing a lot of rainfall fell offshore today, and also along the east coast there were some big storms over the weekend. We're kind of in between with that dry air filtering in, so we didn't get the flooding rains that we were anticipating. You can see that yellow area, that's the special marine warning in effect. Winds gusting as high as 40 knots there, with some of those cells causing some big problems for mariners now. As far as the latest goes from the National Hurricane Center, 45-mile-an-hour winds. It's moving to the north at 9, and the pressure's at 994 millibars. As we put the map into motion, you'll see that storm will track off to the north-northwest in time, and with it, it'll bring quite a bit of rainfall where it tracks. It looks like it could have some flooding problems into Alabama, Tennessee, up in through Kentucky, and even into Ohio. It could get some rainfall from this system, as that low pressure will still hang around, but we're not going to see a significant storm. Well, look at all this moisture down to the south of us, continuing to stream right into Florida. So our rain chances will stay high on Tuesday and even into Wednesday, so high rain chances. And that dry air will stay to our west and north of us. Now you can see the little dry air that kind of slipped in around Alberto, and that kind of inhibited it from making a big storm before it made landfall there. But the dry air is kind of thinning out, and moisture is winning over Cuba, where they don't need the rain. They've had an excess of 2 feet of rainfall over the past couple of days because of Alberto and its path. Here's the forecast calling for this system to continue to head off to the north. Some of these bands staying offshore, but I suspect that one that we just saw will brush the coastline with some pretty heavy rainfall later on this evening. And then this moisture comes up, and you can see this particular model indicating most of it on the southeast coast, but I think it will be in place and come our way, especially into Tuesday afternoon, Tuesday night, and into Wednesday. There'll be enough moisture left over to bring us a pretty good chance for some showers and some thunderstorms. Now, by the time we get to Thursday, we'll look for those scattered storms to come back into the picture, mainly in the afternoon and evening, as we start to see a shift away from the impacts of Alberto. But boy, just a tremendous plume of moisture making its way up. The European forecast model, which really had the storm moving off the Yucatan Peninsula and heading right toward Louisiana. Well, it never really did that. The low pressure area reformed off the western tip of Cuba and then got close to us again on Saturday, and then eventually took off toward the northwest. So these small systems are very difficult to predict because the low pressure center can reform at times. We saw that happen on Saturday. We mentioned it on Friday. And then this particular model indicating a lot of moisture still coming up from the south on Tuesday and Wednesday. So the chances of rain will stay elevated, I think, in those 2 days. Showers and storms could be around. We'll probably see more rain than we saw with Alberto actually being around us. So that'll be the case, I think, as we head into Tuesday and Wednesday. Well, the 7-day forecast, rain chances staying at 70% for Tuesday. We'll see a little bit of sunshine now and again. Temperatures will be a little bit cooler than average because of the increased cloud cover. 60% chance on Wednesday. Then we get back to the scattered afternoon and evening thunderstorms on Thursday and Friday. There'll still be enough moisture in the atmosphere, I believe, that some of those storms could produce some locally heavy rainfall. And then just a slight chance for storms on Saturday and Sunday. So a weekend that looks pretty nice. Temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, and the humidity will be high as well. So it'll start to feel a little bit more like summer. Scott?
We'll take it. Thank you so much, Bob. Let's check first alert traffic. Roads looking pretty clear on this Memorial Day. We're seeing just some minor backups in the downtown Sarasota area as you head north on 41 and also as you head east on Fruitville Road, right near the intersection with 41. Well, he lived through one of the deadliest days in the history of the Navy SEALs. ABC7's Stephanie Webb caught up with former Navy SEAL Marcus Luttrell, whose story the 2013 movie Lone Survivor was based on. It's a story of the ultimate sacrifice on this Memorial Day.
Bad guy, senior Taliban commander. Shaw killed 20 Marines last week. 20. Going in with a 4-man team.
Lone Survivor, it's the 2013 movie that told a part of Marcus Luttrell's life. To this day, the former Navy SEAL won't watch it.
I lived it. Got the director's cut locked up in here.
The movie tells the June 2005 story of Luttrell and 3 of his Navy SEAL brothers, Michael Murphy, Matt Axelson, and Danny Dietz. The 4 were on a mission to find a Taliban leader in the mountains of Afghanistan when a group of local goat herders stumbled upon the SEALs.
I see we got 2 options. 1, we let them go, roll the dice.
Second that they run down there, we got 200 on our backs.
The 4 let the herders go, and it was a decision that would cost them everything. Within an hour, they were surrounded by 80 to 100 Taliban on that mountain. One by one, Luttrell watched and heard his 3 SEAL brothers die, and had no doubt he was next.
I actually wrote the time and date down.
But Luttrell's life was saved that day by a local villager, a complete stranger who hid him, refused to hand him over to the Taliban despite death threats. These days, Luttrell says he's thankful every morning he wakes up.
You gotta understand, there's times in my life where I think I might have died on that mountain.
And he was determined to keep the memory of those Navy SEALs alive. So he was on the set of Lone Survivor every day to make sure they got the story right. His mission these days, giving back to his brothers in arms, like helping out with a recent military makeover at the home of a Bradenton veteran that was injured in combat.
It's the collective of your family. It's at the end of the day, it's when you let your guard down. You know, all your armor's off. Fall asleep in there, and I mean, it's the people that you love and that love you. So I think the greatest thing that you can do to help out a veteran is put a roof over their head, because they provided a roof for us, so.
Stephanie Webb for ABC7, your Suncoast News.
All right, Stephanie, thank you so much. Entertainment news is next.
If you don't want to fall immediately into love, look away. If you don't want to awaken a desire for excellence, look away. If you don't want to be seduced, please look away.
Rediscover your passion for driving at Sunset Maserati Alfa Romeo of Sarasota.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
Dads and grads will all appreciate the gift of a new wardrobe. I'm Stephanie Roberts on Suncoast View. We'll get a Father's Day fashion show from Goodwill and see how easy it is to turn great deals into a great new look. A Suncoast entrepreneur introduces us to Short Staff. It's a new app that can help you get household help for your events. Plus, Manatee Players previews Menopause the Musical and Motorworks Brewing.
Tomorrow at 4 on Suncoast View.
This is the story of a boy who was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where nothing could get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. It made him feel uncomfortable. One day, he found out he had something called autism. His family got him help. And slowly, he learned how to live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
I just need a second.
Is your weight holding you back and affecting your health?
Did you see this? Your cousin had a heart attack.
Really?
Excess weight or obesity can be serious, but you can do something about it. Visit yourweightmatters.org. Download the free toolkit to prepare you to speak with a healthcare provider. Your weight does matter. Accept the challenge and take charge today. Visit yourweightmatters.org.
I'll be right back.
Soldiers in the Army National Guard live up to a set of time-honored principles.
I will always place the mission first. I will never accept defeat. I will never quit. I will never leave a fallen comrade.
Learn more at nationalguard.com.
In entertainment news, the Han Solo spinoff called Solo, a Star Wars story, opened well below expectations in its opening weekend. The movie raking in a franchise low of $83 million in ticket sales in North American theaters. Disney estimated Sunday that Solo would gross $101 million over the four-day Memorial Day weekend. Last week, forecast ran as high as $150 million for the premiere weekend, but it does have some competition right now. Overseas ticket sales were even worse, grossing only $65 million internationally. Final domestic figures will be released tomorrow. Justin Timberlake makes his fans happy, one special fan in particular. In Texas on his current tour, Timberlake stopped at a Houston hospital to visit Sarah Salazar, who's in intensive care after being shot in the Santa Fe high school shooting. Her mother posted this photo on Facebook saying Timberlake visited Salazar and even brought her a gift. He's a good guy. And Brown University presenting musician Sting with an honorary degree in English at its 250th commencement over the weekend. Sting formed the pioneering British rock band The Police with Stuart Copeland and Andy Summers back in 1977. He also co-founded the Rainforest Fund to help protect endangered plants and animals in the fragile ecosystem. After receiving his honor, Sting addressed the graduates, commending them for receiving their degrees in a more conventional way and thanking them for restoring his hope. This season's Bachelorette recently found herself at the center of one of the most gut-wrenching Bachelor breakups of all time. And now Becca Kerfin is ready for a second shot at love. The suitors of season 14 include a male model, a former professional football player turned philanthropist, and even someone from Becca's past. Don't miss the Bachelorette premiere tonight at 8 o'clock, right here on ABC7. We already know it ends well because she said she's engaged. We'll be right back.